I'd like to call the Lancaster County June 26, 2025 board meeting to order. I will stand and do the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
May be seated. We're now getting ready to go into the public input session. This is where you're talking about some things that are not on the agenda for tonight, and you have 3 minutes. Yes, you can see your 3 minutes. At the end of 2 minutes, you get a warning that you have 1 minute left. So please abide. Okay? Now the public input session is now open. Yes, sir.
I'm James Simons, Secretary of Lancaster Electoral Board, Lancaster County Electoral Board. I'm here on behalf of the Electoral Board to publicly announce that the current physical offices of the county registrar are closed, but all functions are being handled in the following manner. Voter registration forms, vote by mail forms are available in the wall-mounted document boxes outside the currently closed office and online. We'll be using the ballot drop box as a drop-off of these completed forms, and the boxes will be checked regularly. All mail, email, phone communications will continue to be maintained by the registrar's staff. The office will be open to the public again when suitable and safe place is found for the registrar's office to operate. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right. Anyone else? Anyone else? Anybody online?
No, sir.
All right. Public input session is now closed. VDOT?
How y'all doing this morning? Evening?
Good.
I think David sent y'all a report. Yeah, we'll look at that. And what about the train? Did y'all straight down? for us?
Yes, it was forwarded to the board members. It was one item, you're talking about the intersection on Weems Road? Yes. It was one item that Mr. Beal referenced would need the board to recommend, being the addition of rumble strips. For the audience's knowledge, this is the intersection of Weems Road, Christchurch, and Lumberlost. There's been some accidents over the past few years there, and VDOT as well as the county are looking at ways to make that intersection safer. And I know VDOT, I don't have the list in front of me, but VDOT is going to do some things, and one of the last things was if the Board of Supervisors wanted to place rumble strips along Weems Road prior to getting to that intersection. And I think it would be appropriate if it's what the board wants to do, that the board should take a vote to add those rumble strips. But do you have the list of the items?
I do not.
Okay.
I had to email back.
I know some signs were going to be moved to give greater distance prior to the intersection, and some more striping on the signs to make it more visible. And I think one of the things that may come in the future would be flashing lights as in addition to the rumble strips, if it's the board's wish to add those.
When would it be appropriate to make that motion?
I mean, did you have anything else, Mike?
I was just going to see if they had anything for me.
Yeah, I think, any time would be appropriate, Mr. Smith.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make the motion that we have VDOT place those rumble strips on Route 200 at the intersection along with flashing lights.
Well, I think the flashing lights are a VDOT determination. The rumble strips are all that the board
If we could
can
just
request.
leave those flashing lights on record, even though we're not voting on them.
Yeah.
So you want to modify that motion?
Yeah, the motion will be to have VDOT place those rumble strips on Route 200.
All right.
It's 222.
222, sorry.
Before we vote on this, any other comments? All right. Okay, you've heard the motion. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Motion passed unanimously. All right.
I'd just like to, he has on here the the Norris Bridge move up to 2028. Can you keep us up to date on what the plan is for that expedited?
Yeah, I
building
mean,
and make sure that, because we want to be involved with the design and the potential of retaining some of the old bridge for our park and things. So we want to, as that's being sped up, there's going to be less time for involvement. We don't want to get the cart too far in front of the horse.
yeah, I mean, as soon as, we hear something or whatever, we'll make sure we forward it to y'all.
Okay.
Mr. Brown, I'd like to thank you for the efforts you put forward to get Greentown Road improved. I rode down that day and it's a lot better. It's a lot better.
I was really hoping to get a whole lot more done this week, but the heat's kind of put a little damp on that.
Yeah, I saw the equipment still down there, so.
Yeah, we've been working, we started going to work at 6, but we were working till like 12, and then just, I mean, it's so hot, and nobody's used to it yet, so.
Yeah.
All right, any other questions, comments? All right, unless you have something else, sir, thank you.
All right, thank you. Y'all have a good evening.
All right. Okay, presentations, school construction.
Y'all closed in an AC this week?
Yeah, I wish. Got a few slides for you. We go right into it, John, I guess.
Finished.
Yeah, no, I wish that was the case too. Got a fancy little patriotic 2-week look ahead for you. You can see from this page all the trades that are working within the building right now. Again, a lot of focus on level 1. You see a lot of activity in level 1. They're moving up through the building. It's not really a hang up. Right now they're working to close in the roof, and it's probably going to take about another month. So it'll probably be about another month before you see any activity on level 2 in the building. So we'll be looking for that as we do these presentations. You can go on to the next slide. I like doing these monthly update slides. They're a little bit less impressive than they were 6 months ago, but this was the building in May, and the next slide's where we are in June. You can see some of the improvements made. It's a little harder to tell, but the activity up on the roof, trying to get that dried in for that level 2. The area that they'll be focusing on first is what they call Area C on the right side of the building, and the left side, Area D, will be next. So over the next few months, you'll be hearing about level 2 Area C a lot. This was the administration part of the building in May, and I was trying to give you some impressive slides on how far they've come, some of the work that's been completed, and this is where they were earlier this week. And so, a lot of concrete's been poured over the past month, and the weather's been fairly cooperative. We did have a little bit of rain earlier in the month, and of course, this week with the heat's been a little rough. We can get to the next slide. I just did a quick fly around the building. This is just kind of give you a snapshot. There's not as many pictures inside. They're doing a lot of if you ride by, you can tell that they're finishing up the block. It's kind of dangerous to be in the building right now, and they got a lot of areas roped off, so a lot of exterior shots of the building this time. Just flying around to the loading dock area. It's on the west end of the building. And keep going around. And you can see them working on the grading and some of the drainage around the building. That's the same picture as before. This is on the east side. We're starting to see some of the shaping taking place there. Where that steep grade is will be a set of stairs for an outdoor classroom area on that side of the building. So that's going to be pretty neat when they get that shaped in. You can tell from the roof, some of the things that are going on. This was Monday, I believe, and it was probably about 200 degrees up on that roof with the reflection of the heat. So you don't see many workers up there. And so it did slow things down a little bit this week, but they were still pushing. This is a curtain wall they're putting up, be a window. This area that you're looking in, it's in the sort of the commons area, if you will. That's the best thing I can relate it to. It's the gym on the left-hand side, the auditorium on the right, and that's the library.
area that they're working on. And there's actually a rendering, it's the next slide, that gives you an idea about what they're framing in there is that big window. You know, that from the media center, you'll be able to look down on the commons area. And so some interesting things happening there. This is in the auditorium. Again, you can see the block work that's taking place up high. And you can see a lot of the areas roped off there, so not a lot of traffic inside the building. This is the gym area. Again, just showing, they basically got that blocked up down to the steel and working through that. This is the locker room area. This is on level 1. And you can see how they're starting to block up a lot of that area within the building. You can get to the next slide, John. I try to get you, you know, you can see these outbuildings from the road, but you can't really get a sense of what they are. The concession stand is the building that's closest to us in this picture. The bathrooms are on the far side. So it just gives you an idea about the space. And I believe the next slide has got the field house. And gives you an idea about the size of those buildings. Any questions?
Still mostly on the timeline, you think?
Yeah, we're about a month behind right now, Jason. Again, it's a lot of opportunity this summer to make some of that time up. Time is not going to be an issue. It's the coordination, I think. But I was in a meeting with Branch today, and I don't think time-wise we're in any sort of bad situation. So I would expect them to really push. Once things get closed in, once we get the roof situated and they're semi-dried in, a lot of work can take place at that point.
Any additional questions, comments?
Thank you, Travis.
Yep, thank you.
Sir. All right. Mr. Bateman? County Parks Projects.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, give you a little update on the various parks projects the county has underway, beginning with Westland Beach. Just a reminder to the public that the beach is still currently closed, along with the fishing pier, until we have the beach nourishment and plantings in place. So speaking of the fishing pier, the railings are all on the fishing pier. What you're seeing here is the first elbow leading out to the end of the pier. The railings that look different from the others are for ADA accessibility. So that persons with disabilities or wheelchair-bound individuals can still fish from the fishing pier. It's in this vicinity that some fish cleaning stations are being fabricated to be installed. This is on the fishing pier towards the end, looking back towards the beach. It's pretty impressive. The pictures really just don't do it justice. Here's a drone shot courtesy of the contractor showing the beach project and the fishing pier. Regarding the beach nourishment, the dredging project's complete. Most of the beach nourishment is in place. And you can see now just how wide this beach is. It rivals a photo from 1965 that I looked at not too long ago. This is looking back towards our fishing pier in the vicinity of the pool at the marina. You can see how the nice tombolo shapes have taken in, and its breakwaters are doing a great job of holding everything in place. Backing up closer towards the jetties, looking back at our fishing pier. And then this is right up against the jetties, entrance to the marina, looking back the length of our project. Starting to really look really impressive. Took this picture just to kind of show you how our future comfort station and parking, and I'm kind of standing in the water at the moment, looking back. This is our phase 2 of the project, the comfort station and parking area. You can see the work being done to gravel out the parking area. Here's the comfort station being constructed. There were some gentlemen out there the day I was out there doing some rough-in plumbing. This is them. So just kind of an overview. Phase 1's 95% complete. Remaining is the fish cleaning stations. Post-dredge survey is underway. Bay Design Group is doing a post-dredge survey. And then the beach and dune revegetation is being planned out as we speak. Phase 2, the comfort station and parking's about 7% complete. Construction began May 5th with completion date of November the 1st of this year. All permits are in place. The county VDOT right-of-way abandonment is underway, and electrical service coordination is currently underway. I want to take this time to note that we made the front cover of the Lancaster by the Bay Chamber Guide featuring our project in the marina. There's a feature article in the guide about the project and what's anticipated. It says debut this summer. I think our hope is to have later this summer that beach and fishing pier open to the public. The chamber had approached Don and I and the marina owner about relocating their premier event, which was titled Taste by the Bay and was held at Tides Inn. They're no longer going to be holding that event, and they want to replace it with an event here at Windmill Point, working with the marina and the county, utilizing the public space and the marina. That first event will take place this November. More on that soon. Our Taylor Creek Park update. Site design submittal status is at 95%. Architectural and engineering about 70%. JPA prep submittal status 95%. And the master swim plan has been submitted to DEQ. So again, the target project timeline, and again, this is contingent upon all agency approvals and the responsiveness of the state agencies and other agencies. So invitation to bids in September, bid opening October 25, hopefully awarding the contract at the November Board of Supervisors meeting of this year. There's a pre-construction period between November of 2025 and January 26, and then the construction period between January of 2026 and August of 2026, with an estimated final completion of that project in September of 2026. Our Carter Cove Park project, site design status remains somewhat unchanged, 80% complete. JPA prep submittal status is 75% complete. The project timeline hasn't really changed much. Looking to go out to bid in January of 2026, potential award in March of 26, with a completion of the project in February of 2027. Another update there, we are working with Middlesex Metals to have the spat-on shell tank for our Oyster Heritage Learning Center fabricated, and that's again using funds from the Chesapeake Bay Foundation. Chesapeake Trail Park update, the NEPA notice to proceed was received early June. Field work is estimated to be done between July and August of this year, with a NEPA report estimated to be complete August to September of this year. Hills Quarter Tennis Park update. The county approved, or the Board of Supervisors last month approved Bay Design conceptual layout proposal. So that would be located on the eastern residual acreage of the county-owned parcel in Hills Quarter where the school is being developed. We're considering 6 multi-use tennis pickleball courts and parking, and a conceptual area base sheet, just a drawing of the general location of this facility was given to us earlier this month for input by various stakeholders. Triway Trail update. It's a lot of activity on the Triway Trail, a lot of good news. Our construction focus is still currently Phase 1B to get us from Hills Quarter to Compass Entertainment Complex. We have, through Senator Warner's staff and Federal Highway Administration, got confirmation that our congressionally designated spending is still intact. So that was roughly $980,000 for that construction. The county submitted a VDOT Transportation Alternatives Program pre-application, and that has a conditional recommendation for full application. This would be a TAP project in 2026, FY26. TAP projects are awarded every 2 on even years, every 2 years. And the Triway Trail Board submitted an application to the Department of Conservation and Recreation Recreational Trails Program for additional work on Phase 1B. We submitted that when we thought that our funding was in danger, and that would have been to repair the existing segments of the golf cart paths in Hills Quarter that were going to be used for the Triway Trail. This is the same pot of money that is funding the Chesapeake Trail Park project. Planning and acquisition focus continues to be Phase 2 for the Kilmarnock, Irvington Road, or Kilmarnock Town Park, Irvington Road to Harris Road connector. The county submitted a Ready, Set, Go pre-application to VDOT. This would be for Transportation Alternatives Program funding in FY28. And Phase 2, Compass to Irvington Town Commons. The Triway Trail Board and the county were awarded a National Park Service Chesapeake Gateways grant of $100,000 that's going to help us do our acquisition, preliminary engineering, and planning for that section of Phase 2. So the planning and funding committees of the Triway Trail Board are continuing to meet regularly to plan future phases and seek out funding for implementation of those phases. Does anyone have any questions?
Any questions, gentlemen, comments?
How many feet or miles are currently open?
So 1.7 miles from Harris Road to Middlegate are open. Right now, we're rerouting traffic down Middlegate Road because the trail currently dead ends until we can connect that to the Compass Entertainment Complex.
You mentioned that the federal money was still in place. Do we have a timeline of when that may be issued?
Yeah, so working with Richmond VDOT office to figure out the avenue of how that money comes down and flows to VDOT. So once we have confirmation of that avenue, then we'll start incurring costs. But bird in the hand's worth two in the bush.
I guess we need to install a message board on the trail.
Any additional questions, comments? Thank you, sir. All right, at this particular time, Broadband Authority Chairman Keith Kidd is coming to give us an update.
I am. Good evening.
Right.
Rather fortuitous, I took a call from Mr. Palin yesterday, who said, I really need to get an update on what's going on with broadband. And Don and I had already planned for me to make this presentation, so thank you for the opportunity. First slide. All right, as you know, the Trump administration had decided that there needed to be a reassessment of broadband, the BREAD program in particular. That reassessment came out on Friday, June the 6th, and the Commerce Department has presented its findings. I've listed sources here for tonight's talk. These are hot links for those of you that have the presentation. If you need some bedtime reading to put you to sleep, I can strongly recommend these documents. So moving on to the next slide, what we need to know. The states have to redo the bidding process. It is a requirement. The old rules prioritize fiber over other technologies. Under the new rules, the definition of broadband stands. So the definition is still 100/20 with the qualification of 100 milliseconds or less of latency in that connection. But where it ceases to resemble the old is coax, fiber, wireless, FWA, which is unlicensed fixed wireless, and satellite are all acceptable under the terms of BEAD. And it requires the state to select the lowest possible cost. Now, the state does have latitude to select a 15% difference in cost based on either speed or the deployment speed itself or the actual speed of the technology to award a winner. The immediate impact on the states is that all the states must update their maps and adapt the challenge process. So as you know, When I was last here, I reported that we had 450 addresses in the county that were on the challenge list. It remains to be seen what happens to those 450. The anticipation is it's going to be less. And the reason it will be less is because a lot of these will now be qualified under satellite that already show up on the FCC map. All right, so the other thing that's new here is the community anchor institutions. I have a current list if you're interested. The reality is the anchor institutions will probably change. I don't know whether all will still be on there, more will be on there. I have no idea how that's going to come out, but we'll be monitoring that. Right now, Department of Juvenile Justice, Department of Conservation and Recreation, the Sheriff's Department, Department of Transportation, Upper Lancaster Volunteer Fire, Lancaster County Health Department, Department of Social Services, and my grandmother's house, LLC, were on the list as of December 2024. So again, stay tuned. We'll figure that out. I've got a timeline coming up, so we'll know much more in the near future.
Did you mention the schools?
I'm sorry?
Did you mention the schools? Are they not on the list?
The school was not on the 2024 list.
Okay.
And my guess is because the school is served by private bandwidth, so it probably didn't come up.
Okay.
What has been removed so far is non-deployment funding. The state of Virginia had offered localities the ability to utilize BEAD funding to do things like training sessions for those that might need training on how to use the internet. So that ceases to exist under the broadband BEAD funding options at present. So no adoption efforts. Next slide.
Could you go back to that second bullet?
Sure.
Removes provision for state mandated affordable services.
Oh, I'm sorry. I did not mean to skip over that. As you know, we lost affordable care in April of last year. Two states, California and New York, both interceded and mandated a $20 broadband service in the states of New York and California. My guess is that this was a direct assault on those ordinances. But under the new program, states cannot intercede on pricing. The individual organizations who serve in the locale are able and will set their own prices for a low-cost alternative. So it's mandated to have a low-cost alternative, but it will be up to the providers to do so. As an example, both BreezeLine and APB had offered a sub broadband service. They had offered a 50 megabit service for about $50 a month or so, $69.95, I think. So that was their present offering. Under BEAD, the offering will have to be a broadband speed. So again, the 100/20 service, and they'll have to offer some kind of low-cost plan, but it will be up to them to set the price.
Thank you.
Okay? All right, so NTIA has says they will release the funds by the end of the year, and Virginia's plan dovetails with that right now. So what I've done here is put the basic activity. I will tell you that the activity, for example, on June 13th, DHCD put out the intent to open the program, and the letter of intent closes on the 23rd. So they've got very tight timelines that go all through this to the September timeframe. According to Chandler Vaughn at DHCD, Office of Broadband, Virginia hopes to submit their best and final to NTIA in September, around September the 4th. There's a lot of activity that has to go on. Now, while they're preparing that, they're also doing The benefit of the bargain round, which is a term that came about from NTIA with the changes. This is what I would call the best and final approach to bidding. So there is one more round of bids. As I already said, it will include both satellite and fixed wireless. By the way, right now, we have no provider in Lancaster County on fixed wireless that offers 100 megabit service. That's not to say the technology isn't out there to do so. They just have not offered it thus far. They're in the 50 meg range on the wireless services these days. So, what's going to get in the way with these? Virginia's awards will come after NTIA has approved the plan. So Virginia has to submit the plan, as I said, around that 1st of September timeline. NTA then has 90 days to review this. So Virginia has up to 90 days, which that's why I put it at September 4 for the submission. And then NTIA has their 90 days. So we're not looking to see anything coming out of BEAD before the beginning of December at the soonest. So what gets in the way? Politics. There's still more in Washington going on, and litigation. I don't for a moment think that, for example, the fiber optics world is going to take this sitting down. They're going to have their claims, and they're going to take it to court at some point. So that is what I know at present. I promise to continue to watch this and to update this board as we see the need. Any questions?
So the customers that are still somewhat unserved, some of them will be qualified to be served by satellite, or like, what is our plan to get those people served?
Well, that's going to be the interesting conclusion of this. If you look at the FCC map already, a lot of the unserved addresses show up with satellite, in particular with Starlink, which, by the way, is the only satellite firm today that meets the 120 speed configuration.
Theoretically, if you've got a clear view of the sky, wouldn't everybody be accessible to Starlink?
Yes, therein lies the rub. We have these things called trees in Virginia. And that line of sight gets to be a problem for a whole lot of people. And, you know, by the way, I think satellite is an attractive option anyway, because there are places where it's just going to be very hard and even impossible to get cable buried or even on poles to those locations. And by the way, the cost of deploying cable are enormous. Just the deployment costs run somewhere in excess of $14 to $21 a foot just to string the cable up. So when you start looking at these costs, what's going to happen is satellite is going to have a low cost. It's going to be very attractive. Right now, satellite costs more than any of the competitor service. They're still pricing the service at about $120 a month. So that's the unattractive part of satellite. But the attractive part is have it now, have it anywhere you want. You can even put it on your RV or boat if you're so inclined.
I just want to make sure that if there's customers that are still unserved that want to be served, that we have a plan forward to get them.
We
other than
will-
just
well-
relying on BEAD potentially that may or may not happen.
We're waiting to hear what BEAD's going to offer. My expectation is that there will be some amount of cost that BEAD will cover for those who are willing and in those areas of unserved. But
Because I
that,
think the expectations from this board, and I think the public, was that once the All Points broadband project was finished, that would essentially be 100% connected. But then, after that got going, I don't know, politics, loopholes things fall through the cracks, and suddenly there were some people now that aren't getting served for one convoluted reason or another.
well, and part of that was the VATI rules. In order to get the funding for VATI, APB had to present a list of locations they would serve. And the plan does not allow them to deviate off of that list. So the VATI grant says, I'm going after 2,161 homes. And I cannot add, change, or do anything different than serving those 2,161 homes. And yes, we have a lot of people who would like broadband that built a house next door to where an established development existed. And they cannot get it off until they close out, they, being APB, closes out the VATI grant. Now, APB completed their deployment in November of last year. But if you go look at the dashboard that Virginia maintains, the grant is still open. So once that grant closes, they will be able to hook up anybody that they want to that's in those service areas. And it should be very reasonable for them to hook up when the guy next door got hooked up under the grant. But that's why you're seeing this delay. Their hands are tied at present. And they've submitted, we had, as I said, we had 450 homes on the 2024 BEAD challenge list that were approved under the old rules. So I'm working now to see what happens to that list in the coming months. Be happy to report back what I find that's understood, but we'll figure out what that means. And then by then we'll also know what the award is going to do for us in terms of subsidizing some of these costs.
I just want to make sure that we're maintaining a list or pursuing those and then ultimately getting to the goal of having everybody who wants to be served 100%.
The goal would be to have everybody in this county could get broadband if they want it. Absolutely.
All right, any other statements, questions?
Keith, why is it taking them so long to close out that VATI grant? Any idea on that?
Craig, that's an excellent question. I wish I could answer it, but I'm not getting answers from APB.
I'm guessing it's that word politics, but.
I can only, at this point, speculate, but they've got money in the BEAD game.
Engineers.
And so, you know, there's, once again, we all thought under the old rules, BEAD was going to be awarding contracts in the April to May timeframe of this year. So I think everybody was kind of waiting to see where that was. So I'll keep pushing APB to get answers for you. And as soon as I have one, I'll be happy to share that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. At this time, we get ready to move into public hearings on certain things. Mrs. Hall.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have for you this evening an application for change of zoning district classification from residential general district R1 to agricultural general district A2 by J. Brandon Kellum and Kelly Brent Kellum for tax map numbers 1667 and 1666A located on Pinkersville Road in District 2. This request comes to the Board of Supervisors with a recommendation of approval 6-0 by the Lancaster County Planning Commission. Article 4 of the zoning code identifies permitted uses and regulations for A2 zoning. The applicant wishes to utilize both of these parcels along with other property owned by the applicant known as tax map number 1685 and 1717 in part as a horseback trail riding facility or equestrian academy. The properties are currently being used for agricultural purposes. In addition to the horseback riding facility, the applicant intends to continue the existing farming activities and to build a new single-family home on tax map number 1666A, which will be the applicant's primary residence. The applicant's primary objective is to operate a horseback trail riding facility encompassing all 4 properties owned by the applicant. The existing R1 zoning classification of 1666A and 1667 does not allow for an equestrian academy. Agricultural General District A2 zoning does allow for an equestrian academy with a special exception. Therefore, the applicant is requesting to rezone to agricultural A2 and has also applied for a special exception from the Board of Supervisors. Considering the existing uses and zoning classifications of the surrounding properties, rezoning the subject properties to A2 is the most appropriate. Parcel maps illustrating nearby zoning and the applicable zoning ordinances were included in your packet. The applicant envisions a family-operated horseback riding business that would be open Thursday through Sunday during daylight hours. Small groups would reserve designated time slots to be approximate to be approximately 1.5 to 2 hours in duration and enjoy a leisurely horseback stroll along a system of trails along the perimeter of the existing fields on tax map numbers 1685 and 1717, led by the applicant as a guide. The property and horses would also be available for photo shoots by scheduled appointments. Horses are provided by the applicant and are housed on-site in the existing barn on 1667. The applicant currently has 5 horses for riders, but does not intend to have any more than 8 horses total. Traffic volume along Pinkersville Road should not have a significant increase due to this business. Primary parking will also be on tax map 1667 in an area between the horse barn and hay barn, in addition to overflow parking in the area of the old store, which has already been demolished. Parking will accommodate at least 6 vehicles. Sketches are included in this packet, including illustrating the existing and proposed uses. Also included in the packet are pictures illustrating the parcels and their uses and the meeting minutes from the Planning Commission meeting. While most of the facilities are existing on the subject parcels, the applicant intends to convert the back portion of 1667, which has already been timbered, into an additional horse pasture with accessory buildings. Lancaster County is predominantly known as a waterfront community relying heavily on tourism, but is also known for its quiet rural charm characterized by beautiful rural road vistas, rolling hills, forested acreage, and active farmlands. Chapter 7 of the county's comprehensive plan states farmlands provide the aesthetically pleasing landscape referred to by many citizens, and the plan identifies goals and objectives to preserve and promote the county's rural character. The applicant's intentions and commitment to agricultural-based activities on their properties directly contribute to the county's objective to preserve and promote agricultural lands and activities. If approved, this rezoning request would add to the inventory of agricultural properties within the county. While the applicant is passionate about equestrian activities and would like to share and cultivate this same passion with the public, they also believe their business will complement the county's tourism industry by providing an activity that otherwise has not been readily available to the public. An online query of similar businesses yielded only one other horseback riding facility located in the northern neck. A map of available horseback riding facilities in the region was also included in your packet. To help with their request, the applicant has provided a signed and notarized conditional rezoning proffer, which has been provided for you this evening. After receiving feedback from their neighbors, the Kellums reduced the number of permitted uses in order to alleviate the neighbors' concerns. This issue has been advertised and adjoining property owners notified as required by law, and since the advertisement and mailings, there has been no input from the public regarding the rezoning application. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you. Before I open this up for public hearing from the floor, any comments or questions, Ms. Hall?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I want to say that I do tax work for the applicants, Brandon and Kelly Kellum, and feel that I should recuse myself from the discussion and votes for the public hearings 1 and 2.
All right. Thank you, sir, for letting us know that. All right. You want to say that? At this particular time, the floor is open. Mr. Bill Burrow?
Mr. Chairman, are we conducting public hearing on 1 and 2?
No, just one at this time, just one.
I can assure you I do not need the 3 minutes. I will be very brief.
Right.
There are some other sides of this that I think that we need to be aware that might happen in the future. It's a positive side, not a negative side. Where we see so much in the news about therapy, horses, and so on and so forth. I see this as helping wounded warriors. I see it helping children and adults of various needs. I see it really to be a positive thing. But one of the concerns that I have is on my property on Pinkersville Road, and I'm here because of the letter that I received. I guess about 3 sides of my property are surrounded by a hunt club. And I hope in our crazy world today that's afraid of anything related to guns that they don't put restrictions on, because talking about Sunday would be one of their big days. That's one of 2 days a lot of the people in that hunt club are allowed to hunt because they have to work the rest of the time. So I hope that we don't have restrictions come along later and say that people cannot hunt on Sunday on this type of property or adjoining this property, something like that. That's my big concern.
All right, thank you. All right, thank you very much. All right, anyone else?
Good evening, I'm Brandon Kellum. I just want to thank y'all for y'all's time and consideration on this request. Olivia pretty much summed it up pretty well. Mainly, we'd just like to share our love for horses and trail riding with the others in the community and others that are visiting the community in the area from other areas. There are many things to do and see in our area, and a lot of them are based around waterfront. We would like to offer something different that will show the beauty of our inland areas as well, and offer something that is very peaceful with minimal environment to zero environmental impact. Y'all have any questions for me?
All right, gentlemen, y'all have any questions of him? No, we don't. All right, and let me explain to the, okay, that's good.
Thank you.
You're fine. All right, let me explain to the audience. The reason we didn't put a time on him is because he's the applicant, and we want to give the applicant time to explain themselves and answer questions of that sort that may come from the audience, okay? All right, anyone else? Anyone online? Okay. At this particular time, I consider this public hearing closed. All right, gentlemen, I move that we change the zoning district classification from residential general district R1 to agriculture general district A2 for tax map 16-67 and tax map number 16-66A. All right, you've heard the motion. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Unanimous vote. That passes.
You have one member.
One abstention.
That's right. Yeah, one abstention. All right, yeah, that's right. So that's four to one and one extension. All right. Thank you. Ms. Hall?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Our second public hearing this evening is the second part of this application, which is an application for special exception by J. Brandon Kellum and Kelly Brent Kellum to operate an equestrian academy as required by Article 4 of the Lancaster County zoning ordinance for the operation of a horseback trail riding facility on tax map number 1685, 1717, 1667, and 1666A, located on Pickersville Road in District 2. Article 4, the Lancaster County zoning ordinance identifies permitted uses and regulations for agricultural general district A2 zoning and requires approval of a special exception for the operation of an equestrian academy. The applicant wishes to utilize these tax map numbers in part as a horseback trail riding facility which is classified as an equestrian academy. The properties are currently being used for agricultural purposes. In addition to the horseback riding facility, the applicant intends to continue the existing farming activities and to build a new single-family home on 1666A, which will be the applicant's primary residence. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Before I open the floor back up for public comments, any questions or statements you want to ask Ms. Hall, say it to her. And Mr. Geesey is still?
Stay.
All right, abstaining. All right. Okay. Floor is now open. Anyone want to speak? Anyone online? No, sir. All right. Floor is now closed. All right. Gentlemen, I move that this application of special exception to operate an equestrian academy for the operation of a horseback trail riding facility on tax map number 16-85 and tax map number 17-17 and tax map number 16-67 and tax map number 16-668 be approved. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. So that's four. One abstain. Four positive, one abstain. All right.
Mr. Chairman, I would tell you that in my 50 years as a local government attorney, never seen a site plan picture which included a horse's head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't take credit for that. But okay.
All right. Ms. Hall, number 3.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Our third public hearing this evening is to consider proposed revisions to the Lancaster County Code of Ordinances, Chapter 30, Fire Protection and Prevention, Article 2, Fireworks, to create uniformity and compliance with the Virginia State Code 2795 and 2797. The Lancaster County Sheriff's Department asked county staff to review the Lancaster County Code of Ordinance, Chapter 30, Fire Protection and Prevention, Article 2, Fireworks, for uniformity and compliance with Virginia State Code. Upon review and discussion with the Chief of Emergency Services, Matt Smith, and Chief Fire Marshal of the Commonwealth of Virginia, Billy Hucks, Staff identified necessary changes to the code to achieve compliance. The State Fire Marshal's Office presently serves as the Fire Marshal for Lancaster County, and therefore the State Fire Marshal's Office is considered the authority having jurisdiction, or the AHJ, over fire protection and prevention in Lancaster County. Based on the Virginia State Code, and the applicable code was included in your packet, only the AHJ may issue permits for the display of fireworks. The proposed changes include revisions to the language used to describe fireworks in conformance with the Virginia State Code language. The proposed revisions also state that permits for the display of fireworks must be obtained through the State Fire Marshal's Office. The Lancaster County Sheriff's Department has previously issued permits for fireworks displays, but has discontinued this practice for 2025. The proposed revisions include language to update Section 3031, certain fireworks exploded on private property, of the Lancaster County Code to provide uniformity with the Virginia Code language. This language allows for fireworks classified as permissible by the Virginia Approved Permissible Fireworks List to be legally obtained and ignited or exploded on private property with the consent of the owner of such property with no permit required. The proposed revisions and supporting documents were included in your packet. At the time of the drafting of this memo, there were no written objections related to this hearing. We did receive one phone call, which was simply a question regarding the logistics of how to obtain the permit.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Gentlemen, before I open it up to the floor for questions or comments, do you?
I have a question,
All right.
Olivia. This seems like the usurping of local authority.
Well, the state code is clear that only the authority having jurisdiction is allowed to issue those permits. And so since we have not adopted the fire code, and the State Fire Marshal's Office serves as our fire marshal, we just simply can't issue the permits.
So we don't have in place our own fire code, is that what you're saying?
We do, but the State Fire Marshal serves as our fire marshal, so we don't have our own fire marshal presently.
And so that's why it has to go to the state?
That's correct.
Yeah, previously, the sheriff's department had issued them.
Locally, I'm just
And we-
adamantly against the usurping of local authority. I believe that government is best served when it's at the people's level, and at this point, I
I think that
feel that this is a usurping of local authority.
the issue may have been also different localities doing it differently.
Well, because different localities have different requirements, and one size doesn't fit all, and so that's, again, why government closest to the people makes the most sense, because Lancaster Sheriff can decide what's safe, and Middlesex Sheriff can decide what's safe, and that shouldn't be decided in Richmond necessarily, because one side, what happens in Fairfax is certainly not the same that should happen here.
I understand that, but as you know.
Well, as you know, I don't like it, and I will not vote for anything that usurps local authority, so I'll be voting no on these changes.
I did, just for information, I did speak to our sheriff yesterday on this matter, and he's in favor of doing what, doing this. And he also told me that his office already received calls from citizens concerning the 4th of July. And he's explaining to them that he may not be able to respond to all the calls because they got a limited number of deputies on duty at night. So he said this happens every year. They get a lot of calls for fireworks, and they just can't respond to all of them. And I don't know what, Olivia, well, I quoted you right or not, but I understood that when I talked to you that the state would be putting more people in place in the Northern Neck for the holiday.
That's correct.
Okay, I passed that on to him.
And as far as application and stuff, you've already notified them of where they need to go for that, right?
That's correct. Everyone who had submitted for a permit in the past 3 years received a letter informing them of this potential change and that they needed to seek their permit through the State Fire Marshal's Office for this year because they had already ceased issuing those permits for 2025.
And Mr. Chairman, if I may, this does not affect the average Joe homeowner who goes to Walmart or wherever and buys, fireworks to, set off in their yard. This is for groups, organizations that have the larger fireworks displays that need a permit.
So it would be the aerial displays.
But it does affect the homeowner in some sense, because some homeowners got fireworks they shouldn't have.
Well, yes. In that instance, yes.
And that's really what the sheriff and myself were discussing yesterday. How do you handle that situation? Who's gonna handle it?
All right. Okay, got any other questions or comments before I open the floor? All right, if not, the floor now is open for comments. Anybody online? No, sir. All right, the floor is now closed. All right, motion.
I agree with you, Jason. I don't like the state taking authority over this, but it doesn't sound like we have an option in it unless we want to hire a fire marshal. And I'm not sure we're ready to do that. So with that being said, I'd like to move that we propose these revisions to the Lancaster County Code of Ordinances, Chapter 30, Fire Protection and Prevention, Article 2.
All right, before we vote on it, let me ask you, Ms. Hall, a question. I thought I read somewhere that we can have ours, but it has to be greater than what the state has. Is that correct?
Yeah, more restrictive.
More restrictive, yeah, than the state. Okay, all right. You've heard the motion. All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. 3, 4, 2 against, am I right?
If I understood the motion right.
All right. 3, 4, 2 against, motion passed. All right? Okay. Next one, Mr. Gill.
Mr. Chairman, this is a proposed amendment to the Lancaster County Code of Ordinances, Chapter 10, Animals, Article 3, Hunting, Section 10-68, Restriction on Caliber Size to allow centerfire rifle hunting with certain conditions. The exact language under Section 10-68, Restriction on Caliber Size, all the existing language in that section would be stricken and replaced with A, rifles and pistols 23 caliber or larger with a maximum capacity of 5 rounds for rifles and 6 rounds for pistols may be used to hunt deer during the general firearms deer season, provided the hunter is in an elevated stand to be 8 feet above the ground level to the center line of the rifle's barrel. The rifle may have a round in its chamber only when it is on the elevated stand, except such weapon may be discharged on the ground when necessary to dispatch a deer wounded from an elevated platform. B, rifles larger than 22 caliber may be used for the hunting of groundhogs between March 1st and August 31st, and for the hunting of coyotes outside of the general firearms deer season. And C, any person who violates the provisions of this section shall be guilty of a Class 3 misdemeanor. You will recall that this was brought to the board's attention back in February by a county resident, Dana Greenlee, who presented a PowerPoint presentation. You have that PowerPoint presentation in your packet. And Mr. Greenlee is here tonight as well. He's available if you want to ask him questions. We also have tonight First Sergeant Tyler Bumgarner with the Department of Wildlife Resources, who is here to present some facts for you and to answer any questions that you may have of him. So I think it would be appropriate before you opened up the public hearing to allow First Sergeant Bumgarner to come up and address the board.
I agree with that. Yes, sir. Come on up, sir.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I have a few documents if I may approach and may assist.
Yes.
Sure.
Again, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, thank you for having me this evening. I'm First Sergeant Bumgarner of the Virginia Conservation Police. I've been assigned here in the Northern Neck for going on 19 years. I now currently supervise basically everything north of the James River, east of 95 to include the Northern Neck, the Middle Peninsula, and Richmond Metro down to the York County line. I have a few items here this evening. Again, I'm here just to provide data. I'm not here to provide an opinion. myself, nor other CPOs, nor the Department of Wildlife Resources have an opinion on whether the board decides to go forward with this amendment or not. We support all forms of legal hunting, so I just want to make that clear. So what I have this evening is I have all hunting incident data going back to 2019. This is statewide data, so I didn't delve into specific counties. This is all statewide data, kind of digested by species hunted, weapon, that type of thing. So again, how is this data collected? Basically, what is our role as CPOs? So our role is obviously to enforce the hunting and fishing rules, the boating rules of Virginia, and we'll investigate all hunting incidents involving the damage of property, personal injury or death to determine if a violation of law occurred, or to obtain necessary evidence and information to complete mandated reports, and to evaluate the educational value to determine methods needed to mitigate such incidents from reoccurring. So if we see trends in our incident data that we are collecting, then we will go back and maybe change our hunting incident training to incorporate these trends if we're starting to see new trends occurring. So what is a hunting incident? A hunting incident includes but is not limited to personal injury, death, or property caused by the discharge of firearms or archery equipment while hunting. What is not a hunting incident? Any incident involving the discharge, involving a firearm or archery equipment that does not occur in a wildlife habitat or occur while the individuals involved are not actively hunting. These incidents are not reportable as hunting incidents and will normally be handled by local law enforcement. So if it didn't occur in a wildlife habitat and it didn't involve the discharge of archery equipment or firearm, then by our policy and definition, it's not a reportable hunting incident. There are 3 different types of hunting incidents. First is a fatality, obviously where a fatality has occurred. Second is injury. When personal injury has occurred, injury is determined as physical harm or hurt for which a person received treatment by a licensed medical professional at a medical facility. So if someone has a scratch or something, they don't have to go to the hospital or a medical facility and receive care by a licensed medical professional, that is not classified as a hunting incident. Third is damage to property, and that's where damage to property has occurred. Property may be defined as real estate, vehicles, livestock, or anything that belongs to a person or entity. So if a hunter shoots at an animal and hits a vehicle driving down the highway, that would be obviously a hunting incident where we would investigate that incident. So what is our response? CPOs shall investigate all incidents occurring in the Commonwealth which may be called to their attention. Again, if these incidents are deemed not to be in a wildlife habitat, then CPOs will not investigate those incidents. Those incidents, again, will be investigated by local law enforcement. However, we will provide any necessary assistance if requested by the law enforcement agency. We also have a hunting incident investigation team. These are CPOs that have received additional training. All of our CPOs get 40 hours of basic hunting incident investigative training in our basic academy. And then our hunting incident team members get additional 40 hours of advanced training to be on our hunting incident investigation team. These individuals are made up of CPOs from around the region who are called in to investigate serious incidents involving injury or fatality. So starting back, delving into some of the data, like I said, I go back to 2019. And some of the way that we collect our data has changed. I hope moving forward that the data actually kind of delves more into the details. Some of the data is, there's some unknowns here, like for example, it lists a firearm, but it doesn't say whether it's a shotgun, a rifle, or muzzleloader, so it's an unknown. And so I just want to make you aware of that. So for 2019, and again, our seasons are, from 2019, or from basically the fall of one year to the spring of another. So our license year takes effect July 1 and then runs through June 30th. So for the 2019 to 2020 hunting season, there were 20 total hunting incidents statewide. One of those was a fatality, which was self-inflicted. There were 7 of the 20 were self-inflicted incidents. 3 involved a rifle, 3 involved shotguns, 1 handgun, 1 muzzleloader. And the species that were hunted, 10 of those incidents, persons were deer hunting, 3 were turkey hunting, 3 were rabbit hunting, 2 were dove hunting, 1 was coyote, and 1 other. And the weapons involved were 3 of those incidents involved a rifle, 4 involved a shotgun, 1 involved a muzzleloader, 1 a handgun, and 1 was listed as unknown. For the 2020 to 2021 season, there were 14 total incidents, so we came down, thankfully. There were no fatalities. 3 of the 14 were self-inflicted. 2 involved a shotgun, 1 involved a handgun. And species hunted, 10 of the 14 were deer hunting, 2 were turkey hunting, 1 was rabbit hunting, and 1 was waterfowl hunting. The weapons involved, of the 14, 12 involved shotguns, 1 involved muzzleloaders, and 1 involved a handgun. For 2021 to 2022, we went back up statewide. There were 19 total incidents. 1 of those was a fatality. 8 of the 19 were self-inflicted. Of the self-inflicted, 4 involved a rifle, 1 a shotgun, 1 a handgun, and 2 were muzzleloaders. And the species hunted during that season in which the incidents occurred, 12 involved deer hunters, 4 involved turkey hunters, 1 involved bear hunting, 1 raccoon hunting, and 1 quail hunting. And the weapons involved during that season, there were 4 of the 19 involved rifles, 12 involved shotguns, 2 involved muzzleloader hunters, and 1 was a handgun. For 2022 to 2023, we went back down again, thankfully, 14 total. No fatalities, thankfully. Of the 14, 3 were self-inflicted. 1 involved a bow, 1 was a crossbow, and 1 with a handgun, all self-inflicted. And species hunted during that season, 3 of the 14 involved deer hunters, 2 involved turkey hunters, 3 rabbit hunters, and 6 were listed as unknown. And the weapons involved during that season, 1 involved a rifle, 4 involved a shotgun, 1 involved a bow hunter, 1 crossbow, 1 handgun, and 6 unknown. For 2023 to 2024 hunting seasons, we went down again. There were 11 total incidents, 1 fatality. That fatality involved a non-hunter who was struck by a shotgun pellet. There were 2 that were self-inflicted, 1 with a shotgun, 1 with a rifle. Species that were hunted, there were 9 of the 11 involved deer hunting, 2 involved turkey hunting, and the weapons involved for 2023-2024 was 2 rifle incidents, 8 shotgun, and 1 muzzleloader. And some data that we're starting to collect now, which I think we are still going to collect going forward. In the 2023-24 season, they're collecting more data. Of the 11, 4 involved hunting with dogs. And of those 4 incidents, deer were hunted in all 4 of the incidents that hunting with dogs was involved. There were 7 still hunting incidents, and of those species, 2 involved turkey hunters and 5 involved deer hunters. And the 2024-2025 season data is still being worked on right now, so I do not have that data. What I provided with you was the enabling code section, which is 29.1-528 of the Code of Virginia. And the main thing about that code section is if you look at it, Section C says that whatever you decide to do is not enforceable unless your ordinance is provided by to our director by registered mail by May 1st of the season in which it is to take effect. So, and the main reason is to get it into that book, our hunting game law digest that I gave you. So one recommendation I can make is whatever decision you decide to make, again, we're not for or against whatever decision you make, that's up to you. Be mindful that if you decide to repeal your ordinance, you would then revert to state law, which basically states that the hunting of deer with rifles during the general firearms deer season is legal so long as the rifle is greater than 23 caliber. You would not be able to put any elevation restrictions, magazine capacity restrictions. None of those county ordinance specifications that Mr. Gill recommended there or stated earlier, none of those would be enforceable. So if you repeal your ordinance, obviously I can't, or CPOs can't enforce an ordinance that's been repealed, nor can we enforce an ordinance that was not submitted to our director by May 1st as the code states. So because we're after the May 1st deadline, all of the regulation digest, which you can see that digest ends June 30th, which would be in 4 days. All of the new current county ordinances, they will be in the new book that's going to come out here in a few weeks or a month. So I would just make that recommendation just due to the code. If you open that game law digest book up to page 23, you can see some of the other local, if you look at the county, if you look at Lancaster, for example, Lancaster has number 6, number 12, and number 26, which was previously stated by Administrator Gill. Richmond County's ordinance of number 7, if you look at it, which says no rifles for deer hunting, that was an oversight on the publisher of this digest. That is not accurate. They do allow rifles for deer hunting. If you look at Richmond County, for example, their ordinance that allows rifles is 93. It should also be noted that Northumberland and Westmoreland have recently passed ordinances allowing the hunting of rifles in their counties, and I did attend both of those board meetings for those counties and presented the same data. They're very similar to what Mr. Gill stated. I have those if you'd like me to go over those with the board.
Jim, would you like to hear those? Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. For Westmoreland, rifles of .23 caliber or larger with a maximum magazine capacity of 5 rounds may be used to hunt deer during the firearms deer season, provided the hunter is in an elevated stand at least 8 feet above ground level and has first obtained written permission from the landowner. The rifle may have a round in its chamber only when it is on the elevated stand, except such weapon may be discharged on the ground when necessary to dispatch deer wounded from the elevated platform. Rifles larger than .22 will be allowed to hunt groundhogs and coyotes outside of the general firearms deer season, and muzzleloaders shall be legal firearms during any firearms season. That's for Westmoreland County. The newest Northumberland County ordinance states that rifles and pistols .23 caliber or larger with a maximum magazine capacity of 5 rounds for rifles and 6-round capacity for pistols may be used to hunt deer during the firearms deer season, provided the hunter is in an elevated stand at least 8 feet above ground level. The rifle may be loaded only when it is on the elevated stand, except such weapon may be discharged on the ground when necessary to dispatch deer wounded from the elevated platform. And Northumberland also states no rifles for turkey hunting, so they added that. So that's a little different than the Westmoreland ordinance. All other counties of the Northern Neck, King George, Richmond, and now Westmoreland and Northumberland allow the hunting of rifles in some manner with some county ordinance. If they are in the book, except for the 2 that I just read you, which are the newest ones that should be in the newest Game Law Digest. And if you would like to use this digest, our agency has pre-approved, or you can use these as a template. If you wish to take some or all you can see how each county kind of has a little bit different variation. One county, even Richmond County, requires you to have written permission of the landowner. Some counties don't. So whatever, again, if you wish to take some or all, you can kind of use these as a guide if you wish to do so. That's all the data I have. Again, if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them for you.
I'm glad you mentioned about the landowner. So I did speak to a landowner this week about what we was going to discuss tonight. And that landowner said they would not give permission to anyone to hunt deer on their property with rifles. So I didn't know,
And that's completely up to them.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
If I understand, if you're hunting and you fall out of a tree stand,
Correct.
it's not considered a hunting incident?
That would be a tree stand incident, and we would investigate that.
If your weapon discharges,
Yes.
while you're falling,
Correct.
that can be considered a hunting incident?
Yes, sir. Yes. And we have investigated those. I have investigated those.
Do you investigate tree stand falling?
Yes.
How you enforce, you're out there in the field?
Yes, sir.
Enforcing these regulations?
Yes, sir.
How, I don't know whether, the concern I have is if someone is walking in the woods with a rifle and they have a round in the chamber, and they say they're looking for the deer they wounded, how do you prove or disprove that?
That's a hard thing to do, sir. Yes.
And I guess on the 8-foot part of it, you gotta kind of do it by eyesight.
I think he had something to the
8 foot to the center line of the rifle's
to the center
barrel.
line of the rifle, so. Other counties say 8, some say 6, some say 10, and they don't even, I think one county says like to the base of the platform. Again, there's multiple variations of this ordinance because this has been a popular thing amongst the counties, probably in the last 4 or 5 years in the Northern Neck and the Middle Peninsula, and even to Hanover. Hanover recently
Having
approved that.
unsuccessfully prosecuted a hunting in Lancaster County with a rifle, it's very difficult to show whether the person was hunting with the rifle or simply had the rifle.
They have a Second Amendment right to carry a gun, correct?
It's very, as I say, unsuccessfully prosecuted.
Correct.
Any other questions?
I've got a question,
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, and it's more or less a legal question. Mr. Bumgarner said that, the May 1st deadline, we're not repealing our ordinance, we're just amending it.
But that doesn't, it's still not effective until
Correct.
May 1st.
But-
If adopted tonight, it won't take effect until May 1st.
It would not be enforceable until May 1st, correct?
But I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought all ordinances, once the board approved it, were effective immediately upon
It says
approval.
that the state is not going to enforce
Okay.
it until May 1st.
So, and-
Because it has to be in the digest to give the hunters notice of the change.
And it has to be to our director.
Okay.
So we could amend the ordinance tonight. We could put a May 1st effective date on it.
Correct.
It would go to the director, and he would know that begin May 1st of next year that.
That's kind of where I was going with that. I mean, because if we don't do that, people would think they could hunt with rifles this fall, and they're not going to enforce it until.
The situation that occurred was a county repealed their ordinance prohibiting rifles. And they're like, well, we want to wait until next year for this to be enforceable, or for people to allow hunting with rifles. They didn't even have anything drafted up yet. But they repealed it. So then now they just reverted to state law, which said all rifles are legal as long as you're greater than 23 caliber during the general firearms deer season. They wanted to have all these other restrictions, 8 feet, could only be loaded when it was on the elevated sand, and none of those county ordinances that they wished to go forward would be enforceable by our officers.
Now, whether our sheriff could enforce it, that's another question, but it would be enforceable by the state. Council.
Correct.
I have one quick, you said you represent a fairly large geographic area. How many deputies or agencies work within the county on a regular basis?
As far as law enforcement,
Yeah, for game enforcement.
we're talking about officers?
Yes.
Well, the Northern Neck has 5 field officers and 1 supervisor. It's supposed to have, we're down right now. And then, again, I live in the Northern Neck, so I kind of fill in where we're vacant. And, I live in Richmond County, so I'm still, here. I may be in Westmoreland, North Armstrong, I may be down in Charles City. But I still,
So
I'm still in
what
this
you're
area.
saying, if you were fully staffed, you would have 5 officers for the Northern Neck?
Yes, sir, and 1 supervisor, in addition to me.
All right. Any further questions, gentlemen? Statements? All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We may be calling you back, though. All right, okay.
Thank you for your time.
I hope I'm clear on this May 1st thing, because I was thinking all along that if we adopt this, it's May 1st next year.
Well,
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Nothing happens this year.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Well, I think they need to state that in the motion.
Right, in the motion,
May
right.
1st, because it's not even be enforceable by the state
Right.
until May 1st.
But, I mean, every other ordinance amendment is effective immediately upon
But I
passage.
think it's a question of whether it's effective or enforceable.
Right,
He's not going to enforce it. He
Right.
can't enforce it under their
right.
code.
So if the board chooses to adopt this amendment, I think as part of that amendment, you should state a May 1st effective
Effective
date.
May 1st,
May
2026.
And send it to the director immediately.
Yeah.
Let me, I'm looking at the recommended revisions here. Should that include landowners permission?
Well, that's an option that you all, it's up
I'm
to
just
you.
wondering if this, I mean, we can have public hearing, but I'm just wondering if this thing ought to be, as far as the board concerned, looked at again for additions to what you already got in there, or taking something, the way you got it written up.
Bring it back.
Because I did talk to a landowner this week, and they not gonna allow rifle hunting. They'll get permission, but you're not gonna get permission to hunt rifles, so.
Well,
And
you
it was interesting that
you
a couple
scheduled
counties,
public
seemed like they had put that in there.
Say that again.
Scheduled for public hearing, so. I
Right,
suspect
we go
we
ahead
should
and go through that,
public
yeah.
hearing,
Yeah.
or
And then we
table
can-
it, or-
And
Yeah,
if
that's
you-
what I'm thinking.
Well, if you wanted to add that language tonight, you could.
You could.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I don't see in, I thought we had a restriction on hunting from roads.
It's in there. It's in, it's section 10-66.
Okay, because it's not in the digest.
Yeah, it's at the top. It's section 10-66. Oh, it's not, you're talking about, it's not in this.
Yeah.
All right. Well, in our local ordinance, it's in there.
But what I'm saying to you is, if this is a digest that gives notice to hunters of what they can and can't do. It's number 26. Yes. But when you look at Lancaster, 28, Lancaster is, oh, you're right, it is. I was looking, I'm sorry, I misspoke. Lancaster has 6, 12, and
Yeah.
26.
Yep.
So we have no rifles larger than 22. We have muzzle loading, lawful to use muzzle loading rifles, and we have 26, which is the hunting from the road.
Yes.
All right.
Although I've had to duck a couple times.
I'm getting ready to open it up to the public unless you have something else to say before. All right, okay. Floor is now open to the public for comments. Remember, you have 3 minutes. Anyone? Yes, sir. Now, are you speaking as an official or a private citizen?
I would like to disclose that while I am a county employee, I am speaking as a private citizen. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Mr. Gill, my name is Brett Dawson, and I reside in District 1, and I do oppose revisions of the center fire rifle hunting ordinances. Factors related to rifle hunting restrictions typically include population density, flat terrain, and proximity to water. And I'd like to talk about those factors. The population density of Lancaster County is on the rise. We've seen hundreds of homes built in the past few years in the Hills Quarter, Springwood, Great Seal subdivisions, and also in more rural areas like Caratoman by the Bay, and even remote locations like Field Trial Road. There are also proposals for additional subdivisions and housing projects in our county. With the population density increasing, adopting this proposal would be contrary to the current rifle restrictions in place that were meant to protect our citizens and would increase risk to the public. Flat terrain is a factor. Rifle bullets can travel for miles. The reason rifle hunting is more popular in areas of the country like the Midwest, the Rocky Mountains, or Montana and Alaska isn't just because the game is much larger, it's because rifle hunting is considered less of a risk to the public safety because there's elevated terrain and mountains to stop bullet travel. We don't have that elevated terrain as a barrier for protection. Lancaster County is flat, so travel distance of rifle shot is another concern. Proximity to water is a factor. Lancaster County is surrounded by water. When a bullet hits water, its trajectory becomes erratic and unpredictable while continuing to travel very long distances. Personal story. When I was about 10 years old, a rifle shot fired from across Myers Creek shattered our front storm door window and lodged in the wall under our interior stairway just a few feet from where my grandfather was sitting. Because rifle bullets travel very long distances, and because it was suspected the shot had ricocheted off the water, no one was ever able to determine where the shot came from. Because of the distance rifle shots can travel, it's extremely difficult
to determine the point of origin of a bullet in the event of an accident, injury, or property damage. This creates a great disadvantage for law enforcement when trying to investigate such instances. In 2013, a 7-year-old boy in Chesterfield died after being struck in the head by a bullet that was errantly shot in the air during 4th of July celebrations. Law enforcement has never been able to determine where the shot came from, citing the distance the bullet traveled as one of the reasons the case was never solved. The purpose of adopting ordinances or revising ordinances is to establish laws that ensure the public's safety, health, and general welfare. And I simply don't see how adopting this proposal ordinance revision would check any of those boxes. I thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right. Anyone else? Yes, sir. Keep your eye on the clock, so when you get to 2, you know you got only 1 minute left.
I know, last time I was pretty long-winded.
Okay.
First of all, I want to thank First Sergeant Bob Gardner for being here and producing the report that he did. Back in February, when I did the presentation to the board here, the person that was up before me was future workforce development for the county. And contrary to what I just heard, the county population has declined from 12,000 to 10,000. That was the report that was given back in February. Actually have that note here, which was very surprising to me because we were talking about the future workforce development at that time. So anyway, I thought that was surprising. So the population is not increasing unless that report back in February is incorrect. And if that is the case, then that's the case, but I don't believe so. But to the point of bullet travel, I had all the ballistics done. It's in the report. Of course, over time, anything in a longer span can happen. The more opportunities, the more hunters, the more there is an opportunity or a potential of something happening. But that's why we put the written criteria in there for, no weapons loaded unless you're in a stand ready to hunt. If you look at those ballistics, there is not a big difference between a muzzle loader and a centerfire rifle. It's not a big difference in travel. They are just as, literally just as powerful as any centerfire. So from all the national data, you have that 100-page report that was done, that was given to you out of Philadelphia, talk about populated areas. There was absolutely zero change in safety. So I would ask you to refer back to that report that was handed into you. That was very compelling. That was over an 8-year period. And that report is actually used nationally simply because it was so conclusive that there was no difference going from shotgun to muzzleloader to rifle. So before any decision was made, if it's based upon that compelling factor of population, please refer to that Philadelphia report because you don't get a whole lot more populated than 200,000 people in a single county. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Anyone else? Anyone else?
I got something to say.
All right.
I think I'm correct on this. I'm pretty sure I am. Lancaster County had a rifle season back in the 50s and 60s, and they closed it. And there's a reason for it. And we're a whole lot more people in Lancaster County now than what it was back then. But as far as going by the law, don't nobody pay no attention to the speed limit over here. They don't pay no attention to passing on a double line. Stop sign don't mean nothing to them. So what's the difference in having a rifle loaded in the truck? You think that's going to bother them? No, that's just my opinion of it. But anyway, thank y'all.
State your name just for the record.
Yeah.
Wade Moore.
Wait more.
You didn't know who I was?
I did, but I was doing it for the minutes.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Keith Crandall. I live at 10947 Maryball Road. And I'm here tonight with my 2 teenage grandsons. My son couldn't be here. I wanted to present 3 generations of Lancaster County natives, born and raised here, that wish for you to approve this ordinance. I just want to remind the board of one thing. Rifles and pistols are fired in this county every day. Every day. I have a legal right to go in my yard, fire my gun from daylight to dark, 7 days a week, 365 days out the year. During that year, for 10 months, I can stand on the ground and shoot groundhogs at unlimited range, standing on the ground, shooting across a flat field. But the minute I climb in a tree stand, shooting on a downward angle, safely as I can possibly do it, I'm violating the law. That doesn't make sense to me. Mr. Lee brought up a good point. The landowner doesn't want me to use a rifle, I won't use it. That's just that. Don't take that away from the landowner. He has that right, but so do I. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Let me say this. When I saw you come in with your two boys, it reminded me of my dad and my brother and myself. He always took us out hunting. All right, anyone else? Yes, sir.
I'm Jim Simons. I'd like to speak in favor of this ordinance. I was born and raised, well, not born, but I was raised down in Virginia Beach, and we had this ordinance years ago, and I think it was 10 feet. I never felt unsafe hunting in the woods with a man above me in a stand. I do agree with Mr. Lee that it ought to be up to the landowner whether he wants that on his property. But I'm in favor of this ordinance change with the recommendation that the landowner has the ability to restrict it.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Anyone else?
Mr. Chairman, can I say one more thing? I know my time, I still have a few minutes.
Okay, come on then. All right. All right.
Mr. Bumgardner, Sergeant Bumgardner, I'm sorry, talked about the safety of rifles compared to shotguns and vice versa. One thing he didn't tell you is west of Interstate 95, most everybody in the western part of the state uses a rifle. 90% of the shotguns that are used for deer hunting are in the eastern half of the state, east of 95. Just so you know that.
All right.
All right, that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Anybody online?
No, sir.
All right. Public hearing is now closed. I'm going to make a motion that, I'm going to put this motion on the floor, that we approve the changes that's been recommended to us effective May 1st, 2026, and that we add, it has to be, the landowner has to approve the person to vote on their property with a rifle. All right? Do we need to go through what the changes are?
That's the only change you.
That's the only change from what I read.
Unread.
Yeah.
Okay.
Unread, but
All right, good.
proposed on it.
All right, good. All right, you've heard the motion?
Before we go there, I just
Go
want
ahead.
to make a quick comment. So, yes, the population in Lancaster County is declining, but this board has made a priority to stop that.
To turn it
And we're
around,
working on
yeah.
it. And we're doing that through workforce housing and workforce jobs and affordable
Right.
housing. And so our population will increase.
Right.
So I'm not sure we can use that for the future. And before we go into a vote, I'm just going to say that I'm going to vote against that. It doesn't mean if it comes back to us, I won't vote in the future, but there's a reason that we have a Starbucks and a Dunkin' Donuts and a possible Lowe's, because they know what's getting ready to happen in this county because of decisions we've made to grow this county.
Right.
And in thinking about the parks that we now have, we have 5 more parks than we had in 1950 or whenever it was, and now we have horseback riding. We're asking people to come in this county and go outside and enjoy themselves. I'm just not going to vote in favor of rifles. I love hunting, I love my shotgun, I just don't want rifles in my county.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to state that I wish, we would table this, because I'm not ready to vote in favor of it. I want that changed, but there's some other safety things that I'm still thinking about. But if you want to bring it up for vote, that's up to you. But
Well,
I just need some more thought into what I'm.
All right, I thought we were addressing the changes you made, but you got some more stuff.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
All right, Mr. Bellis?
I'm really driven by the data. The data presented that I heard tonight was basically that seems that the majority of the incidents is hunting, happening in deer hunting, and seen more incidents happen with shotguns than rifles. So it seems to me that the data is pretty solid that such changes don't really make any difference on safety. That it seems the major issues related to hunting incidences are negligence or individual lapses of safety protocol, not necessarily what weapon they were using. So given that fact and the fact that you've added the caveat of the landowner, I would vote in favor of your motion.
You want to comment?
I'm not, first of all, I'm not a hunter, but I do farm. And it's like I was telling some people today, it is good to have that as an option to help control the deer, but we've been able to control it other ways. So, you know, unless somebody can convince me, and I can't say I've heard anything yet of why we should go this route, I think I would leave it like it is.
Right. Okay.
I think that's your vote.
Yeah, but I want to think about one other thing, Mr. Lee, because he's on the line. You want more time?
I do. I mean, we can bring it back next month for something to say, but I'm not all in on this.
I would table it and give Mr. Lee a chance to solve his differences.
Okay. Because it's not.
I'm probably the only hunter on this board.
I know, that's why I'm listening to you. That's why I'm listening to you. All right. And it won't be in effect anyway until next year.
That's why I wanted to make sure I understood that May 1st thing.
Yeah.
No matter what we did tonight, it's not gonna be in effect this hunting season.
So as long as we act essentially by April of next year, and it could get in effect by May of next year, is that?
The issue is the county ordinance, it's not the state law. If you allow rifle hunting, then rifle hunting is now allowed in this county with no restrictions.
Sir, come up to the podium so we can get you on record.
You can't enforce it.
Yeah, so, yeah.
The issue with the May 1st thing is if you repeal your ordinance to allow rifles, and you now would revert to state law and rifles would be allowed to be used in this county come this general firearms deer season. However, none of your county ordinances that, you wish to have, none of those will be enforceable, such as elevation, written permission, loaded in the elevated stand, none of those are enforceable. Rifles would be allowed. None of your ordinances would be.
Only if we repeal the ordinance.
Only if you repeal the ordinance, that's correct.
If we amended the ordinance,
Amended,
that
yeah.
would not be enforceable.
Amended,
until May
not
1st.
repealing.
Any of your county ordinances, because they weren't submitted to our director, would not be enforceable until May 1st, until the next, they have to be submitted before May 1st.
But if,
The law comes into effect July 1.
Correct.
if
The new
the
season
Submitted by April 1st, it would be all right by July 1.
of next year, yes.
That's what I was getting at.
Yes.
We haven't just until April in order to make such changes, in order to make effect to the following.
And like I said, that's what happened in another county. They repealed their ordinance, and then they wanted these other ordinances, but they weren't approved yet, so it reverted back to state law, and then they were in a quandary for a year because they had some issues that, rifle hunting was legal. We just couldn't enforce any of the ordinances that they wanted us to because they hadn't passed them yet.
I
So
intention,
basically a free-for-all.
yeah, our intention is to act before May 1st.
But I mean, if you also added that this change would be effective May 1st, 2026, then it would not revert back to state law.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay, good. All right, then I withdraw my motion. And at this particular time, do I need to vote on tabling?
I move that we table this.
All right. Do you want to put a time or just table? And we bring it back?
June now, July, till the August meeting.
August. Have we given you enough time?
Yeah.
All right. All right, you've heard the motion that we table this discussion until, what?
August meeting.
August meeting. All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. All right, ayes have it, motion tabled.
And just one caveat to that, the public hearing was held and closed. So when it comes back in August, it will not be a public hearing. It will just be as a consideration item.
Right, because we've heard what the public had to say. Yeah.
But of course, the public could make comments in the public.
And during public input, correct.
All right, okay. Okay, I'm satisfied with that. Okay. consensus docket.
Move for approval of the consensus docket.
All right, you've heard the motion, all in favor say aye. Aye. All right, all opposed nay. All right, ayes have it, motion passed. Consideration docket, let's go to salaries and invoices.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the expenditures for the month of June in the following amounts. Total invoices, $4,169,490.46. Total payroll, $458,061.39, for a total of $4,627,551.85, of which capital improvements were $3,555,984.94.
All right, you've heard the motion, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed nay, motion has passed. Okay, next one, award of contracts, Mr. Gill.
Mr. Chairman, this deals with considering approving a fuel supply bid for FY26 received in response to a joint invitation for bid issued on behalf of the school board and the Board of Supervisors for fuel supply to serve both the school system and the county government. It's been many years since we went out to bid for fuel. You've talked about it at joint meetings with the school board about the possibility of procuring services jointly for services that both boards utilize. To that end, we had conversations with both county and school staff familiar with fuel usage by both boards. The county issued an invitation for bid on May 22nd, seeking bids from qualified suppliers of gasoline, diesel fuel, propane, and heating oil for FY26 to serve both the county and schools. Two types of bids were requested: a fixed per gallon 12-month cost for those various grades of fuel, and also a variable cost plus differential price for those various grades of fuel. Bids were due back by 3 p.m. on Thursday, June 5th. We had one bid. It was from NWP Energy in Kilmarnock. You have the bid sheet in front of you, which has the 12-month fixed price at the top of the page. The bottom of the page has the cost plus differential. Both school and county staff reviewed these bids and recommend the cost plus differential option. Even though that's variable, there's quite a significant difference between the cost plus cost plus differential option and the fixed price. There's also some language in the invitation for bid scope of work that gives us some protections on that variable rate. The school board unanimously passed a motion at its June 9th meeting approving the cost plus differential fuel supply bid from NWP for FY26, and I'm asking that the Board of Supervisors do the same.
All right, any questions?
You said it'd been some time. Do you know when the last time?
I don't know the last time.
Do you know what the general frequency we should do this every 3 years, maybe?
Well, we're planning on doing it annually.
Annually?
Yeah, because if you all choose to go with the variable plus differential, I think a shorter time period is the best way to go.
All right,
I believe that's the one we should go with.
all right, motion?
I'll make that motion.
All right, you've heard the motion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed nay, motion passed. All right, next one, Mr. Gill.
Mr. Chairman, this one deals with consideration of equalizing the compensation board funded 1.5% bonus recently approved in the state budget. You have an attachment in your package which states that the General Assembly included a 1.5% bonus effective July 1, 2025 for all constitutional officers and their compensation board funded staffs. In the past, whenever comp board bonuses have been given, the county usually matches those bonuses to equalize those pay increases for the other office positions not funded by the comp board. What I mean by that is you could have two workers in the same office doing the same job. One is comp board funded, one is not comp board funded. If the comp board funded employee gets the bonus or the raise and the other employee does not, I can't explain that to the employee who does not get it. So that's why I've always come to you and asked you to equalize this across the board, treat everyone the same. The county's full-time employees include 48% that are comp board funded and 52% that are not comp board funded. So I'm asking you to match that compensation board 1.5% bonus for all of your full-time positions effective July 1st, 2025. The total funding for that 1.5% is $81,293. $39,167.19 would be reimbursed by the comp board, so the net local expense would be $42,125.81, which is 52% of the total cost. So the way I look at it, you're getting 100% of the value for 52% of the cost.
I got a quick question in regards to this. Do we know why, it seems to me this is our standard practice that we've done, but the school board lowered the $1,000 bonus to teachers to $750 for all employees. Do we know why that occurred?
I don't know why that occurred. I know that the state was $1,000.
I would assume it was something along these kind of lines too. They have staff that are SOQ and some that are not, so they potentially lowered it in order to give it to everybody. But I don't think it's generally the practice you're showing here is that we've just covered the difference for all employees.
That's
generally
correct.
So generally what they should have done is funded the $1,000 bonus to all employees and supplemented it with local funds, correct? If that's what they did, if we would have been following equal protocol. Can we get an answer to that at least?
Yeah, I'll check on that.
All right, any other questions,
This
comments?
is something that we do. I agree with you. I think we'll be able to do the same thing.
I've just got a question from a couple of teachers on that regard, and I was like, well, I'll ask.
I'll find out.
Okay, thank you.
Motion?
We don't have this addressed in the budget. This is,
It's not in the approved budget, but it's such a small amount, the budget will absorb that. And what I mean by that is, any position that's not completely filled during the year, any savings in any line item will offset that. The budget will absorb that small amount.
Motion?
I move that we approve the supplemental compensation equalization.
All right, you heard the motion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion passed. Okay. Mr. Gill?
Mr. Chairman, your last consideration item is what I've done for the past several years. It's various supplemental appropriations to the FY25 budget. After reviewing the FY25 expenditures through June 30th, which was just completed, I believe, on, late last Friday, we've got a need for a few supplemental appropriations. Number one, Board of Equalization and $3,037.47. The Board of Equalization met many times after our last reassessment. It carried over into FY25. They met in September and December of 2024. We just didn't budget anything in FY25 for the Board of Equalization. The Sheriff's Law Enforcement line item, account 31200, there's a exceeded budget amount of $290,113.93 due to exceeded numbers under part-time, telecommunications, convention and education, fuel, dues, uniforms, computer, and supplies. EMS, account 32301, an overage of $37,110.24, basically overtime and part-time. That's due because ever since Matt has been chief, he's been down 2 full-time positions. No fault of his own, just not enough qualified people out there for every county to stay fully staffed. And also covering additional shifts for the volunteer rescue squads. The Sheriff's Office, the jail account, overage of $83,665.19 based on overtime, part-time, medical, electric, water, laundry, and food supplies, and basically due to the fact that they have an increased number of inmates and have for the past several years, basically at capacity. Refuge disposal account 42400, $100,221.05. The waste management budget was exceeded due to increased volume that we could not anticipate, and we had some overages in part-time wages due to employee shortages from illnesses at the beginning of FY25. So the total of all those is $514,147.88. And just as an aside, that is actually $10,000 less than the request from last year.
We need to get a handle of these expenses better. It seems every year we have the same categories and we talk about the same issues, but yet we've increased those budgets to compensate for those issues every year.
Yeah.
For the past, I mean, every year we've had these issues, and every year we've talked about those budgets, and every year we've increased those budgets, and then the following year they come in the same way, about the same negative, and it doesn't make any sense. We need to get a handle of that, and
What's,
I want to piggyback on what Jason was saying. If you look at this, and I know they're two different count numbers, but we got $370,000 really out of that 500,000 is going to the same area. I think that it's something wrong here. I mean, it's
so
somebody.
here's the question is, what is the penalty if the board decided tonight not to supplement this?
we've already spent the money.
You've
So-
already
my-
approved the expenditures. It would show up in the audit as a
So
deficiency.
that's just it. I mean, we do this every year. I mean, who's to say that we decide that, no, we're not going to do it?
Well,
And I think that's the tone that needs to be sent out to our departments, is that we're not going to keep doing this. We can't keep doing this. We're looking at $500,000 overspent. If I overspend my checking account by $10, I'm going to be fined for it.
Yeah.
And I'm saying 370-some thousand of that is coming from the same group. They're different account numbers, but they're coming from the same group.
That group has been made aware of that, and we anticipate having a meeting, not next week, but the week after.
I mean, the issue is just, I feel, is like, we've talked about these, we've supplemented those problems, and yet the problem still persists. So we obviously even haven't supplemented enough and solved the problem, or there's some other systemic problem.
Well, you all may remember that we just increased the sheriff's budget quite a bit when we went through the last budget. So,
10% increase.
you know, and that was before we knew these numbers. So, yeah, it's something there.
Well, in fact, I'm going to take it a step further. These departments that are asking for additional money, after you speak with them, I think they should come before the board and share how they're going to correct it in the future. And that needs to be done this year.
I agree with that. And also, isn't there a way that we can also track their spending, and when they start getting close, we can say, you're going to be locked into this and nothing's going to be given after this?
I track it monthly, and at the end of May, everybody was still positive. But I didn't know what invoices were coming in during the month of June that would be paid, in the June.
There could be some instances of things we would like to have or like to do, but maybe can't afford to do, maybe some of the things we can't do anymore. I mean, some things we're forced to do.
Yeah.
We have to take a deputy and to go to have them sit with a patient who's having a mental episode. That's just what it is. We have to deal with that. But there are certain things we're going to have to just get a hold of these charges, because we can't continue to overrun and spend
I agree with that.
$500,000 in the red, no matter where it
And we've
is.
been doing it every year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
When we
Even
tried
after
to-
we talk about it.
I will be glad to, after meeting with these department heads, ask them to come back before you.
Okay. All right. Anything else, gentlemen? All right, so we got a vote, right?
I move that we approve these various supplemental appropriations.
All right, the motion, you've heard the motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passed. Okay, board reports. Okay, at this particular time, I'd like to appoint Bill Farrell, reappoint him back as an alternate member to the BZA. All in favor, then say aye.
Aye.
All right, motion passed there. All right, also, I'd like to appoint John Deloach to the Broadband Authority. All in favor, then say aye.
Aye.
All right, motion passed, unanimous. All right. Anyone, board member, got anything? All right, county administrator report.
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to turn it over to John, who has another award to talk about.
Yeah, we're collecting these, we're collecting these things. The Lancaster County, the Lancaster 2035 initiative was awarded a 2025 Achievement Award from the National Association of Counties. And I had put this in a plaque. So this represents our third award. You'll remember last year we were awarded a Virginia Association of Counties Award. and they came here to present it. Just last month, I notified you of the Virginia chapter of the American Planning Association, gave us the Holtzheimer Economic Development Award for that Lancaster 2035 initiative, and now we've won this award. I plan to continue to apply for these awards for the great work that this county is doing. The VACO Awards this year, looking to apply for the Westland Beach project, because this county and this board deserve the credit for the great work that they're doing with the taxpayers' money.
Thank you,
Thank you, thank you.
or thank us.
Yes.
Really, thank you.
And one other thing I'd like to add, just for you all to put it on your calendar, is the Friends of Rappahannock. John, you take that over.
Yeah, I'm sorry I didn't mention this earlier. The Friends of the Rappahannock, and I mentioned this at a previous meeting a few months back, had gotten us a NIFWIF, National Fish and Wildlife Foundation, award of $100,000 for the Westland Beach project. This is for the beach renourishment and plantings. August the 8th, they are looking to have a check presentation ceremony at the beach. And they've invited Congressman Whitman to attend, Delegate Kent to attend, and Senator Richard Stewart to attend.
Is that check going to be cashable?
No, it's going to be the giant kind. But August the 8th at 4 p.m. With a social at the Tiki Bar following. So
What's the red tape on that money?
there's going to be minimal red tape on that money.
I don't, just want to get it like the Tri-Way Trail money tied up in some convoluted bureaucracy.
No, we don't anticipate any red tape with this money.
What time did you say?
4 p.m., August,
8th?
yes, August the 8th at 4 p.m.
Yeah, that's all I have, Mr.
Hopefully
Chairman.
we're close to getting ready to open by then.
I would hope so.
Okay, that's all you have?
Yes,
Keep the
sir.
gas on the contractor.
Right, sir.
All righty, I move that the Board of Supervisors enter into a closed meeting for one, personnel per section 2.23711A1 of the Code of Virginia as amended, and for two, legal matters per section 2.23711A8 is the Code of Virginia as amended.
All right, you heard that. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, motion passed. We're now in closed session.
I don't. Phone, and I got a text that we get invited to a topping off event at the school. So they wanted me to let the board know that they invited August the 22nd at 10 a.m. It's called Topping Off now. I don't know what that is. Event for the school. The board will be invited, but let them know about it now.
I need more information. I know
August
we're talking about
22nd,
this.
10 a.m.
I gotta know what
Be
that
there,
is.
be square.
Topping it off, I don't know what that is,
Where's
but
the location?
school, new school, new high school,
New high school.
new high
I
school.
guess that's when they're gonna put the roof on.
Oh, the new high school, okay.
Yeah, new high school.
The new roof then, I guess.
Says topping off. I was, I don't pay attention to my phone when I'm sitting right here.
Meeting back to order. I move that the Lancaster County Board of Supervisors adopt the following certification resolution. Whereas the Lancaster County Board of Supervisors convened in a closed meeting on June 26, 2025, pursuant to an affirmative recorded vote on the motion to close the meeting to discuss personal and legal matters in accordance with section paragraph 2.2-3711.A.1 and 2.2-3711.A.8 of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act. And whereas section paragraph 2.2-3712D of the Code of Virginia requires a certification by the Board of Supervisors that such closed meeting was conducted in conformity with Virginia law. Now, therefore be it resolved that the Lancaster County Board of Supervisors hereby certifies that, to the best of each member's knowledge, number one, only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements under the Virginia Freedom of Information Act were heard, discussed, or considered in a closed meeting to which the certification applies. And two, only such public business matters as were identified in the motion by which the closed meeting was convened were heard, discussed, or considered in the meeting to which this certification applies. Before a vote is taken on this resolution, is there any member who believes that there was a departure from the requirements of number one and number two above? If so, identify yourself and state the substance of the matter and why, in your judgment, it was a departure. Hearing no statement, I call the question. Mr. Bellows.
I certify.
Mr. Lee.
I certify.
Mr. Geezy.
I certify.
Mr. Smith.
I certify.
And I, Palin, certify. The certification resolution is adopted.
I move for adjournment.
You've heard the motion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. We adjourn.